My name is Thomas, Tommy Reed, 78 years old. And if there's one thing I've learned after all this time, it's that some lives aren't broken by accident. Some are built that way from the very beginning. I was born in 1947 in a nowhere town in rural Missouri, the kind of place that doesn't show up on maps unless you're really looking for it. And truth be told, I've never really left it, not in the ways that matter. The doctors, they always had their theories. They said my body was just unlucky. My mind too. Bad genetics. Bad roll of the dice. That's what they called it. But they never had the full picture. Not even close. And tonight I'm giving it to you. Not because I want sympathy. I stopped wanting that a long time ago. I just don't want this poison, to die with me. I was the fourth of 7 kids. 7. And only 4 of us made it past 20. Mama and Daddy used to call us their miracle babies whenever folks asked why our family looked different. We lived way out on a dirt road. No neighbors close enough to hear anything. Not the crying, not the fighting, not the nights when something just didn't feel right. Daddy worked odd jobs when he could. Mama took in sewing patched clothes for people who barely paid, and somehow still tried to keep us fed on garden scraps and whatever meat we could trap. We survived. That's what we did. But we weren't normal. Not even close. My oldest sister, Ruth, her spine curved so badly she walked sideways, like her body had given up trying to be straight. My brother, James, he couldn't speak right. Words came out tangled, broken, and when people couldn't understand him, he'd get so frustrated. My little sister, Ellen, she was born with a hole in her heart. She'd turned blue just from running across the yard, and one night, she went to sleep and never woke up again. She was 9. And me and my twin brother Bobby, we were what they called the family curse. Weak legs that gave out without warning. Joints that swelled, twisted, like they didn't belong to us. My mind worked, but slow. Numbers didn't stay still. Words slipped sometimes. Bobby had it worse. He never learned to tie his own shoes. Never really understood why his body wouldn't listen to him. And I remember thinking, even as a kid, why us? But no one ever answered that question. We didn't go to school much. Mama said the other kids would be cruel. And she was right. The few times we showed up, they stared, laughed, called us things I won't repeat. Freaks from the hollow. Teachers sent us home with notes. Big words. Developmental delays. Birth defects. Things we didn't understand but we knew weren't good. One doctor in the county clinic ran some tests, looked at us for a long time, then muttered something under his breath. Something I didn't understand back then, but I remember it now. Bad genes. Daddy got angry, real angry, and we never went back. Still, for all the broken parts, we loved each other. In that desperate way, like we knew we were all we had. Ruth protected us. James drew us pictures. Crooked houses, crooked people, but always smiling. Always smiling. Bobby and I shared a bed until we were grown. We'd lie there at night, listening to the wind outside and whisper about the future. Normal jobs, normal lives, normal families. We really believed that was possible. I should have known better. Mama and Daddy, they were quiet people, stayed close to each other. Too close, though I didn't understand that at the time. They slept in the same room their whole lives, even when the house got crowded. Didn't fight much, but sometimes I'd catch Daddy looking at Mama with this strange expression. Sad, but hungry too, like he was carrying something heavy, something he couldn't fix. And Mama would touch his face and whisper, "It's just us, always has been." Back then, I thought that was love. Now I know it was something else entirely. We never had visitors, no old friends, no grandparents, no aunts, no uncles, no cousins during holidays, nothing. Whenever we asked, Mama would just say, "They're gone," and that was the end of it. Better this way, and we believed her. Why wouldn't we? We didn't know any better. When I turned 14, the questions started. Small at first, then louder. Why did we all look so much alike? Not just family alike, but two alike. Why did Ruth's spine curve the same way Mama's did? Why did doctors look at us like puzzles they didn't want to solve? And then one day I heard something. A doctor, quiet voice, talking to Daddy. One word stuck with me. I didn't know what it meant then, but it stayed. I asked Mama about it later, said the word out loud, and that's when everything changed. She slapped me, hard. First time in my life. Only time. Her eyes. I'll never forget them. Don't you ever say that again, she hissed. That's filth. We're just country people. God tests the ones he loves. And just like that, the conversation ended. But the questions didn't. They just went quiet and waited. Bobby passed away when we were 22. Fell into the creek chasing a fish. His legs gave out and he couldn't swim. I pulled him out too late. Ruth followed at 31. Her heart couldn't keep up anymore. James, he lasted the longest. But the headbanging turned into seizures. He passed away in a state hospital in 78. And just like that, I was the last one left. The one who could still walk. Most days. Still talk. Most days. Still live. Most days. I tried to live a normal life after that. Got a job at the feed store. Met a girl named Mary, sweet girl. Said my limp didn't bother her. We got married, tried to build something better than what I came from. We tried for kids. 3 times. Lost every single one before we even got to see them. Doctor said my genetic load was too heavy. That was his phrase. Like I was carrying something rotten inside me. Mary left after the 3rd one. And I didn't blame her. Some lives, you just don't pass on. I lived alone after that. Worked until my body gave up. Collected checks, kept to myself. Tried to pretend I was just another old man with ordinary problems. But deep down, I always knew something wasn't right. I just didn't know how wrong it really was. And then last year, everything came crashing down. My sister Ruth's daughter showed up at my door. Her name's Lila, 62 now. Sharp mind, clear eyes, nothing like the rest of us. And that alone should have told me something. She had a folder with her. Papers, records, history, things buried a long time ago. She sat me down and told me the truth. Tommy, she said, Mama and Daddy were brother and sister, full blood, ran away together when they were young, changed their names, built a lie and lived inside it. And then they had us, 7 times, knowing exactly what it could do. I couldn't breathe. The room, it just spun. Suddenly everything made sense and nothing did at the same time. The sickness, the deaths, the way we looked, the way we lived. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't fate. It was a choice. She showed me the papers, DNA results, medical reports, all of it, proof stacked on proof. And then she showed me something else, a letter from Mama, never sent. She wrote it after Ellen died. What we did was sin, she said, but I couldn't stop loving him. Every sick child is my punishment. And then the part one can't forget. I can really never forget. I would do it again. For one more night in his arms. They knew. They always knew. And they still chose it. Chose each other over us. I thought that was the end of it. The truth finally out, but I was wrong. There was one more thing. One more secret waiting to break me. Lila found another record. A baby boy. Born before me. Healthy. Perfect. And they gave him away. They gave him out just like that. Because he didn't fit the pattern. Because keeping him might have exposed the truth. He's alive. 83 years old now. Different name. Different life. Healthy. Family. Grandkids. Everything we never had. Everything we were never allowed to have. I drove to see him. Parked across the street. Watched him through the window, laughing, holding a child on his knee. And I realized something in that moment. That could have been us. That should have been us. That might have been us. But I never knocked. Couldn't. Some truths, they don't set you free. They just break what little you have left. I went home and burned every photo I had of Mama and Daddy. All except one. The one where they're young. Holding each other and smiling like nothing in the world could touch them. I look at it now and all I see is the cost of that love. All those years of pain, it wasn't an accident. It was a decision, and we were the ones who paid for it. I loved them anyway, still do. That's the hardest part to admit. They were all I had, even if they were the reason I broke. I never told anyone this. Not my wife, not my friends, not even God's man when he came knocking. I carried it just like they did. But now I'm tired, and I don't want this truth buried again. If you're young and you're listening, learn from a life that should have never been this way. Don't hide the truth. Don't gamble with things that can destroy lives before they even begin. Because the ones who pay aren't the ones making the choices. They're the ones born into them. Mama, Daddy, I forgive you for loving each other, but I can't forgive what that love did to us. This is Thomas Reed, the last broken one still breathing, signing off before my body finally finishes what it started all those years ago.